So we are looking at some Bluetooth, specifically with the ESP32. And before I go too much further into this, like I do want to say I have a love-hate relationship with Bluetooth. So like yesterday, I couldn't get these Bluetooth headphones to sync with my computer, but then when they work, it's just amazing. So what I want to do is I've been kind of tinkering with like I said, back to the ESP32, tinkering with some Bluetooth, and I want to show you. So, like right here on the right, I've got a mirroring. This is pretty bad mirroring software, but I'm mirroring my phone. Um, so I want to show you kind of what it looks like, and we'll dive into the code. So we can scan for devices, and this is going to be looking for Bluetooth enabled devices, and Pigment Pete, that's my headphone. ESP32, that is this. So we're going to click on ESP32, and it's not styled the greatest, but you can see we have a button for start process and a button for end process. So if I click on start process and click on this send command button, you can see now the blue LED is on. And it always starts with blinking the LED, right? It's you blinking the LED, but that's what's happening. Bluetooth, phone, turning LED on. So in here, look here, end process. Look at this. Boom. Why is it saying, oh, sorry, you missed my toast. Send command. Oh. LED is off. Let's do it one more time just to blow your mind. And then we're going to dive into some code. Start process. Send command. Blue LEDs on. So this could be like home automation, all kinds of cool things, turning lights on and off. Starting processes. So say these controllers are running complex processes. You could like scan like a document, run your complex process with the microcontroller, and do these interesting things. Another thing it can do is it can act as a beacon, but right now this is just commands. The beacon was actually way easier. So, okay, so let's look at some code. So the front end is React Native, and the back end or the device, again, I always say it's the device. It's actually more front end than anything. But that is C++. We're using Arduino for that. And I showed this before, but I want to show so basically in this startup, there's always startups for the Arduino. We create a Ble Manager, which is our own wrapper. It's our own wrapper class around another Ble library. And we're basically on initting it. And if we look at the Ble Manager, on init, we're going to create the Ble server. We're going to listen and set up like a pipeline on this characteristic ID. And that's actually when you are we'll do this one more time just to say. So what's happening when I click on this start process is the phone is publishing to a characteristic ID that GUID in the code here. So that's our characteristic. That's like the thing it's listening on. You can have multiple characteristics to say with different LEDs, processes, whatever ways of communicating. But we're basically going to create a service, a Bluetooth service, and we're going to attach that characteristic. This, while true, is for the beacon. We're not too worried about it. But what we want to focus on is this configuration callback characteristic handler, this handler. Basically, it's a special class that extends the Ble characteristics callback. And it has this void on write method, which is going to basically get past the characteristic and the value. And what we're doing is we're saying, hey, if the value equals start underscore process, turn on your LED. If it's stop process, turn off LED. So basically we set up this handler in the C++, and again, just because it's cool, turn off the LED, command, boom, look at that nice toast. Turn on, hey. Okay, so that is the handler on the C++ side. So what's happening on the front end? On the front end's it's a little not tricky, but there's actually a lot going on. So I hit stop, and the first step is you scan for your device, and it's going to look for all the Bluetooth devices, and then it's going to list them on the screen. Second step is you click on your device, that's going to establish a connection with your phone and the device. So keep these steps in mind. We're going to go through them real quick in the code. And then you're going to, with that connected device, you're going to click start, and that's going to send a base64 encoded message to the board. Okay, now it's blue. Let's turn it back off. To the board. So I like to start. We'll start here in the app.tsx for the React, and basically we've got like our header here, and it all revolves like, so we're creating this Ble Manager class from this Ble PLX library from React. We create the Ble Manager. Let's see. And then we have some like components, like one's like device viewer here, which is going to be showing the device, and then we have our scanner. And then I pulled out some of the specific like Bluetooth related stuff out of React and into just these pure TypeScript little functions. So the select device function, that's going to take a Ble Manager, and it's basically it's promise based, so we're turning all the promises at the end into observables to create streams to work off of. But basically, we have like select devices method, select adapter method, and let's see. I want to run through the process a little better. So basically, if we don't have a Ble Manager on start, then that means we are in this state. We don't have a Ble Manager like there's there. So when we start the scanning process, that is going to start Ble scan, which is going to basically create a new Ble Manager. So once we have the Ble Manager and we don't have a device, this component down here is actually in charge of this list. So we're looking at the list component now. So basically what we do is we pass in the manager. We are creating this device's piece of state using use hooks, which is under the hood using use observable, which is using hooks under the hood. So basically we've got our devices, looping through our devices, and then we have a press handler that whenever it's pressed, we're going to emit to the device, and that's going to then pass that device into the viewer. And so if we click our device, now we're in the device viewer, and that's where we have this method here, send data, which is going to take the value to send the manager. The Ble Manager is like the bread and butter of this. It's what makes this works. But basically, Ble Manager, write characteristic without response for device. And we're passing a device ID, a service ID, characteristic, and base64 value. And the thing with the Bluetooth is it's all about services and characteristics. So this service here in our C++ code is defined when we create the BLE server. Again, and this characteristic is defined in our C++ code, and that's what we're actually listening to here. So yeah, that's I think the last video I did with this was incrementally trying to get this better, and this is actually, to me, I could see this being pretty valuable, because like, so you can start process, and you could start like complex processes, diagnostics. So say and the thing is with Bluetooth, it's very cheap. So this is like a $7 microcontroller compared to an LTE connected controller. It's going to be significantly more expensive, like 50, 60 bucks. And actually some of these Bluetooth is just very cheap, and a cheap networking protocol. So yeah, stay tuned for more. We'll keep moving forward with Bluetooth.